What's going on, you little fellas? It's your boy Corboy back at it again today with a new video, and I couldn't decide today if I was going to play a game while talking about this or not, and I just decided, fuck it, I'm just going to shut off my brain and talk about some stuff, because today, it's like the first day I've recorded a video in like 3 days. I've been uploading a lot of Fallout for the playthrough. If you guys haven't checked those out, you should go do it. We're going to continue it tonight. Stream is starting really early today. We're going to do some Halo. We're going to go finish the main Fallout storyline. Probably start on one of the DLCs. I haven't decided which one I want to do yet. If it's going to be Point Lookout or The Pit. Maybe Mothership Zeta. I will say I am saving Broken Still as the last DLC for it. Just because that's like kind of how I prefer to play. I prefer to do that one last. But other than that, we have a lot to talk about today. We have a topic for today. Something that I want about. Something that I think a lot of people have been talking about. Something that's been going around in the gaming sphere for God knows how long at this point. It's been a good fucking while, and I just wanted to come on here and talk about. I want to talk about things a little bit more in depth instead of just focusing on the Halo side of things. I wanted to focus on some other games as well, because it's not just Halo that is kind of plagued by this whole thing that's going on in the gaming sphere, and it has been for like the last couple of years, and something that does consistently kind of worry me with the future of certain games and games that I love, because I notice it happens quite often. I'm a big fan of like indie games and stuff of that nature. I like playing a lot of smaller like dev team games. I just really enjoy those personally. I don't know. I feel like there's like a certain amount of love and care that gets put in them that the AAA community just typically doesn't really have, that makes me really like those games. And then it kind of falls victim to the whole thing of the game's dead because it doesn't have the most players compared to a lot of other bigger games that have way bigger budgets, way more advertising, and kind of attract people a lot more often because they're already huge established titles. I've covered games like that on here. I did one recently for a game called Pigface. It's made by one developer, and it's really fucking cool. I did a video on it. You should go check it out. Luckily, that game is single player, though, but there's a lot of multiplayer ones that I love as well. And it kind of gets thrown into the whole thing where I'll fall in love with the game for a little bit, I'll play it for months on end, and then randomly I'll go fucking check Twitter one day, and I see that the game is shutting down, and it's not really the greatest thing I like to wake up to and read, because I'm like, oh, cool, I like this game a lot, though, and now it's fucking dying. That's great. So it brings me on the topic of live service games and kind of the goods, the bads, and the really bad sides of it. I do want to point out the goods first. I feel like there are some good things with live service games, and that's one, it's right up the gate. You get a lot of content with these games, and a lot of content that you wouldn't typically get in a game that's not in that kind of realm of live service. I actually made a tweet about this. Like, I kind of missed the old style before we went to full on live service, where we would get map packs every couple of months compared to a battle pass or whatever it is, like a season. I don't know. I personally prefer that. I feel like it kept games alive a lot more often, and it kept the content like as something like we're really excited for it to come out whenever it does, and we know we're getting a bunch with it. Because, I mean, if you look back in the day for games like Call of Duty, Halo, Gears of War, the map packs were pretty fucking big. They were like just the things that gave you a bunch of fucking content in one drop load. We got a lot. We got a lot of maps. We got, for COD you get zombies content. And some games you'd even get like campaign content, and I think that was really fucking cool. But I understand why things have kind of shifted over the last couple of years. It keeps people engaged longer. It keeps people constantly coming back to play content, rather they're actually like fans of the games, or they're just there to play the seasonal content, which I does like think kind of creates a weird diversity in gaming, and a weird kind of not so great kind of community aspect of gaming, because people are like, no, this game's not good if it's not getting consistent content. Or there's people who actually really enjoy the games and are like, oh no, this game's great because I actually just enjoy playing it despite, maybe content's not coming in as often or whatever it may be. It's just, it's weird. It creates a weird dichotomy, I think, that is both a bit positive and a bit negative. It definitely invokes people to spend more money, which I'm not typically a fan of. I miss when games would just release as a full title and just have everything in them, which I do think was like kind of the good middle ground with map packs. Was, I think if you were around for that time, you understand how like map packs worked and everything, and like how kind of like of a weird thing it was, because yeah, you'd like have these map packs that would come out that would bring some pretty damn good maps, but like most of the time you'd end up having to turn off your DLC because no one would fucking play them. It was weird. It was definitely a weird time in gaming. I remember doing it back in the day on COD. If you wanted to find lobbies faster, guess what? You turned off your fucking DLCs and you didn't fucking use them. And most of the time, the DLC that you would get in COD was mostly used for things like zombies and such, which, is a huge thing in COD. Zombies will always be a huge passive part of that game, compared to other games like Halo and such, which not gonna lie, we got some amazing maps through DLCs back in the Halo day, like back in the Halo 3, Halo Reach days. There were some maps that we got in those eras that are kind of unmatched and are still reviewed as like really fucking great maps in the Halo like series. Um, but personally, like I kind of do miss that, but I understand live service as well. I guess from more of like I guess a business standpoint would be the only way you could describe it. As unfortunate as it is, I get it, and I do hope we kind of start straying away from live service as time goes on, because it definitely hurts the life cycle of games. Like, still to this day, I will openly say this, you can boot up old games like Halo 3 or Halo Reach or old CODs or Gears of War 1, 2, and 3, and you will find lobbies in all of those games and people still playing it because they're still just alive to some degree. Not to the degree they were in their heyday, don't get me wrong on that. But I feel like an issue with live service compared to that is once a live service like game's life cycle is over, it kind of just dies out really quickly, and no one really fucking plays it because you really don't have a reason to play it. We've noticed that we get significantly less content to grind out. Like, for example, challenges. That's one thing I've mentioned in Halo Infinite a lot that I miss. Were like career challenges, things that as you were grinding for max level and stuff like that, you could also earn these things of like prestige of like, oh yeah, I've played this many games or I've done this in the game. Like, it just a lot of shit that you don't really see now that really is missed, at least to me personally. I miss it a lot. Was going for that kind of stuff, like just like I said, career challenges and things of that nature. Like, games typically miss out on that now and just focus on seasonal content. And even with Infinite, we don't get like seasonal challenges to earn stuff. We get like the weekly and the daily, and the daily is quite literally just, hey, play one game. And the weeklies are like, earn this many points, get kills with these weapons, play this mode, or and get wins, or whatever it may be. It's nothing crazy, or, you know, run over somebody with a vehicle, get a splatter medal. It's nothing like too robust. And I'll be honest, I'll say it as a critique on Halo Infinite. I think Halo has some of the like most kind of low ball kind of seasonal content, because at least with like games like, for example, like right now with Modern Warfare 3 for COD, I'm not even like a massive COD fan anymore, and I don't have Modern Warfare 3, but seeing the seasonal content they get is really cool because there's like the weekly challenges that like let you earn extra gear that you can only get for that season. There's, you know, the actual career challenges and all that shit as well. I think that's overall just a net positive for those games, and something that I actually would rather see than just a seasonal fucking update every couple of, like, every month or so. Like right now, like what we're getting with Halo Infinite, where we're getting an operation monthly. And I don't necessarily hate the operations, but I understand a lot of their critiques because it does feel like a lack of content just to focus on the store aspect of Halo Infinite, which really does kind of bum me out. And then I think about it as, okay, well, what's going to happen after Halo Infinite's life cycle? Because old Halos, leading up to even Halo 5, are still massively replayed. People still play those games daily and love them because there's stuff to do in them. They're still kind of, they have that community aspects, and I worry, like, are they just going to shut down Halo Infinite after its life cycle? Are we going to, like, forget about this game? Because, one, I don't want to. This game, to me personally, is one of my favorite Halos that's ever been released, despite its issues, despite the, you know, things that have gone wrong with this game since its release, which I've talked about with, you know, I think a lot of that being due to the lack of a dev cycle that this game really had to be made correctly. I feel like it really did fall victim to that compared to other Halos where, you know, the lifespans are pretty damn long compared to a lot of AAA titles. You know, Halo comes out like once every 4 to 5 years, and it seemed like Halo Infinite kind of got the brunt end of it with the new consoles coming out, and Microsoft was just like, hey, we need a new game right now for these new consoles, so you better bring out something really fucking good and as quickly as possible. And it sucks because it genuinely, as we have seen, really hurt this game. We didn't get a necessarily full release. While this game's gameplay did kind of save a little bit because the gameplay is, I think, personally phenomenal in this game. I have said it multiple times. I feel like Infinite is the perfect middle ground between classic Halo and new Halo. It still has a lot of the aspects of 343 games that made 343 games kind of their own identity, but brought back a lot of the classic Halo elements that I think a lot of older players did miss, which was a typical weapon spawn in, like, you know, you have your AR and pistol, or BR and pistol, whatever it may be, BR, AR, and then you would fight for power weapons and power-ups on the map. And they actually made the power-ups feel really good in this game. I personally don't think really any of them are useless. It all depends on the situation and what you're trying to achieve with that power-up. Depends on how well it's going to perform. And I personally really like that a lot about this game. And I do hope we actually kind of see this style implemented in the next Halo. I personally was not a big fan of Halo 4 and 5's like create a class system. To me, that's just not really a Halo thing. That's always been like very much like a Call of Duty type thing or Battlefield and stuff like that. So for me, it's not my favorite thing in the world. I wasn't personally a big fan of it. That's why back in those games, I didn't play a lot of like regular modes. I played a lot more SWAT because I personally just enjoyed the way it played with just having a base setup. I liked that more personally. But to talk about more in depth with like live service is it does make me really worry about the future for a lot of games because, like I said, I hate when I log on somewhere and I see, oh hey, we're shutting down servers on this. Now for certain games I get it, like for example I think recently Halo 2 servers kind of officially went down, but there's still a way to play Halo 2. You can go play MCC, and personally I love that. I love that they gave people a way to play the games that they love so much and still want to go back and play, as much as they absolutely can. And I still do. I still play MCC quite a fucking bit. If you guys keep track of my content, I've done MCC content. If you guys have seen my videos before, you guys know about my insane Halo grind that I'm doing where we're going for max rank on Infinite and MCC, and we're doing every single game on Legendary, and then I'm going to try to do every single game on Lasso. That's one of my big plans. And we're just working towards that. We're going at it, and I'm happy that I still have a way to go play those old games, except one of them, which is Halo 5, which I didn't really actually ever get to put a lot of time into. I didn't play a lot of Halo around that time. I was mostly playing Call of Duty, unfortunately, because now I look back on it, I'm like, damn, Halo 5 was actually, like, not that bad of a game. Like, it had some really cool things that we just haven't seen in Halo. The only issue I had with that game was the like the Rex packs and stuff like that. I think those were a bit bad, but then I look back at that era and I'm like, well, every fucking game had it. And that is one thing, like, if one game has something and it pops off and people notice it, every studio is going to start implementing it. Like, we never had battle passes, and then Fortnite added their battle pass, and now every game that we play has a fucking battle pass to some degree. It's something that we are always going to end up seeing, and something that is kind of just a theme in the gaming, like, world. One thing does well, everywhere is doing it. It's not just going to be that game's unique feature. We're just going to see it more and more often. Like, personally, I wish we would get more Halos that are spin-offs, but I think time has shown that, I guess possibly due to sales and how many people play them, maybe those aren't the most popular. So that's, I think, part of the reason why maybe Microsoft denies those games being made by 343, because they're like, no, they don't do well enough, which is really weird to me because, weirdly enough, I think one of the biggest Halo titles, if not possibly the biggest Halo title, the one that people talk about the most, the one that people end up really, really enjoying, and it may not be my favorite, but I know it has a large community of people who absolutely love it, which is Halo Reach, was a spin-off title. It was a, hey, this is an alternate story set in the same, universe, of course, but it's a story before this happened. And it was possibly one of the biggest successes of Bungie Halo. So many people fucking love that game. I got friends who still do, and personally, I'm also one of the people who do love that game to fucking death, because I just think it's really, really good. Oh my god. Oh, wait, we got it. Let's go. But, it makes me wonder, like, why are we not getting any more of these games, or is it because Microsoft knows that Halo can make more money if it focuses on Chief's story, which does put me up to wondering, when is that ever going to end? Are we ever going to see an end to the Chief storyline? Which, as much as I love Master Chief, I think he's one of the most iconic game characters to ever exist. I think he does need an ending story of, hey, this is what's happening now. Will we get it? Who knows? But also, what's going to happen with Infinite and whenever we get the next game? Is this game just going to die out? Are they going to shut off servers? Is it going to become plagued with hackers, which we did see actually after the network update, that the game got pretty fucking infested with hackers for a couple of weeks there, and it was pretty bad. It was not a good time at all for Halo Infinite. Like, it was damn near impossible to play certain modes. If you guys were around for streams whenever that was going on, it made it very difficult for me to play most game modes, like Pack Slayer, because I would spawn into a game and just instantly get fried through the fucking map. I was like, oh, well, that doesn't typically fucking happen, but great. And it does make me worry with, like, Halo and other games as well, because we've even seen it happen with COD. I remember, back in the day, CODs were played even after their lifespans. Like, people didn't just play the newest one. When, for example, a game like Black Ops 3 came out, if you didn't like Black Ops 3, people just went back to play MW2 or Black Ops 2 or Black Ops 1, MW3, or COD 4. And we don't really see that anymore. It's more, if you're not playing the most current iteration of this game, then no one really fucking cares, because it's not what's getting constant updates. It's not what's being filled life. And I think it does really hurt games' lifespans and its life cycles and how long a game can stick around even past its heyday. Which is why when I talk about a lot of old games, I refer to them as typically like time capsules and like just things that we go back to play to enjoy for people who were around then. Maybe new players won't get it, and I do always advocate for people who just now get into a series, maybe 15, 20 years after it started, to go back and enjoy those old games, to actually go give them a shot, whether it's the multiplayer, the campaign, or whatever it may be. I want people to go back and enjoy those because I think they are a huge part of a game's identity. I've met a lot of people who have just got into Halo over Infinite, and I always tell them, like, you should go play the originals as well. You should play everything up to 4, and if you have a console and you're playing on console, you should go play 5 as well, because they are just stepping stones to what we got now. And you'll notice a lot of things that kind of come back or are referenced in like certain packs and shit that we have never seen before or have seen in other games. You just see the stepping stones of what got us to one place to another. And I feel that way about a lot of games, like even with the Fallout series. People are like, oh yeah, I've only played New Vegas, and I'm like, okay, well, you should go play 1, 2, 3, 4, and also you should play 76, because I think 76 now is a pretty fucking great game, especially in its current state that it's in compared to whenever it launched. But yeah, I always advocate for that. I think it's a great thing. I think it keeps those games alive and keeps them in conversation when we talk about games that get added later in the series, if it is a series type game. And I think it's one thing that kind of makes live service bad, is it takes away from that aspect of like, oh, well, this game's not updated, why would I play it? And it's like, well, you should, to go, learn and like figure out what was good about this game, what was bad, what can be used to grow this game, what can be used to put into later iteration of this series. Like there's a lot to go off of it. Also, why am I only getting 80 frames? Why is this map I get the worst frames on, but now they're going up. Okay, cool. That's weird. That's something. But I do think it's something that people should do, and I think that's one thing that does make live services really, really bad for the gaming industry, is that a lot of people typically lose focus on the older titles because it's just not what's popular at that moment, which is, yet again, another negative side effect. And I feel like that really wasn't a big thing until... And listen, I'm not just blaming, like, one game for this or one series for this, whatever it may be. But I do think ever since, like, the BR wave kind of took over and was kind of, like, the big thing that was going on... It really did hurt a lot of things about gaming. Like, we get the fucking whole, if the game's not the most popular, it's fucking dead kind of argument, which I think is really fucking stupid. There's a lot of games that I enjoy that are smaller in scale and don't have the massive communities like some games do, but they sure as hell aren't dead. There are people who love them. I personally played one recently that I loved to death, which is Splitgate. I loved that game. I have so many fucking hours in that game from when it released that I have a love for it, and I cannot wait for whatever that dev team puts out next. But that's one thing that definitely has fallen victim into the gaming community in the last couple of years, since games like Fortnite and PUBG took off initially, and it leads to a really weird dichotomy in gaming. And I also feel like with like a lot of people getting into gaming during the pandemic, we have a lot of these like weird new perspectives of what games are that really aren't what games are at all. It's like a lot of people think they know a lot about gaming because they started playing whenever everyone was playing, because no one could fucking leave their house, when really they miss a lot of like detrimental points of certain games. It's really weird for me to even look at like games like Call of Duty, and I see people talking about Modern Warfare 2019 like, no, this is how COD is meant to be played, and I'm like, is it? Like, COD was always a kind of goofy arcade military shooter. If you think that game needs to be tactical in any sort, like it is now, what games, like, when did we start playing? Like, that's what I always question of, like, when did you start playing these games? Because there is so much that you have missed out on that I don't think you understand how these games were meant to be played or what people actually liked about these games. And yet again, I think some of that is possibly due to BR like Warzone and how much it's like took off. My shot was absolutely fucking dog shit there, but hey, it's cool. But I do want to know what everybody's opinions are on live service games, because there's so much to dive into, and there's so much that I can't even talk about in one video. I'd probably have to do like a full fucking series diving into different games as a whole and how it's affected it. Coming from a player standpoint, I've thought about it with Halo a lot, but I do want to know what people's opinions are. People who maybe don't even play Halo, maybe people who play completely different games who don't even give a fuck about Halo, which is fine. I just want to hear it. I want to know what people think about live service games. How do they think they affect maybe their favorite series, and where do they see the future of gaming going, with live service being a thing that has now kind of become the norm? Or do you wish that we would kind of go back to how games were prior, whenever it would be, like map packs and shit, compared to seasonal content where we get fucking like Call of Duty and Halo, I think are two big examples. Like we barely get any multiplayer content, but they focus on like one aspect. Well, Halo not so much, but COD is definitely one of them where it's like multiplayer seems to be like the back burner for COD anymore compared to what it used to be, where multiplayer was the forefront. And it's something they wanted people to play because it consistently gave those games life, which I do think is a big thing where COD is missing now. But I want to know other people's opinions. How do you all feel about live service? Where do you think it's going to take gaming as a whole? Do you think it's going to continuously make newer games more played? Do you think it's taking away from the life cycles of certain games, or do you feel like it's taking away for the will for people to go back and enjoy the older titles and to see what they like compared to what they are used to? And I just want to know, like, what do you guys want from gaming in the future? Do you guys want us to revert? Did you fucking stop playing multiplayer games when live service became a big thing? Because I know a lot of people have done that. I did there for a while. I kind of actually stopped focusing on multiplayer games because I wasn't a fan of the whole live service aspect. I was like, no, these games, like, why would I put all my time into this when this game's just going to fucking die when the new one comes out? Like, what is the point of that? That, like, kind of negates me going back to play this game past its fucking heyday. Which is one thing I didn't like personally, so I just kind of fucking avoided it like the damn plague in a lot of ways. And I definitely do with certain games. Like, there's certain games that I've stopped playing because I'm like, I don't like this aspect of it. I know once this game's dead, it's fucking dead, and what's the point? I'm going to use one as an example. I think Apex Legends falls into that category for me, where I just don't fucking care about it anymore. I loved that game when it came out, and I enjoy watching it. I enjoy watching people play Apex, but I just can't get into it because I'm like, well, once this game's fucking over, it's over. And plus, like, I feel like that game misses a lot of points for me anymore anyway. I'm just not a big fan of BR. I'm kind of over that whole fucking wave. And, you know, that could just be because I'm someone who's been playing, you know, games for a pretty damn long time. Holy shit, that was a beautiful triple. Look at me. I was fucking popping right there. But, you know, I grew up a multiplayer kid, a classic multiplayer kid compared to a BR kid. Which, and you know, that might show, you know, a little bit about me, but as to why I wasn't a big BR fan, like, I wasn't a big fan of it from the start. I was kind of like, yeah, it's fine, it's whatever, it's cool, I guess, but it just wasn't something that I really wanted to play, and, I kind of still feel that way. Like, I gave them all a shot. I played, I even started off with, like, the one that didn't really get me, but kind of set the stepping stone, which was H1Z1. I played it, I played PUBG, I played Fortnite, I played Apex, I've, you know, hopped into all those games, and I still play Fortnite occasionally. Like, I think, like, that game is just kind of its own kind of entity, because, personally, this may sound crazy to some people, but I don't see that game personally dying because of how Epic runs it, where it's kind of a fucking metaverse at this point, where they are constantly not only updating it, but they are letting people make their own things within the game. They are just, they're adding an experience that a lot of these games do miss out on, that Epic has just consistently pumped out shit for that game that keeps it innovative, and I feel like a lot of games are trying to copy it, and they're failing. I feel like that's where another thing, like, that a lot of games fail in is they're trying to copy the Fortnite formula, but they can't do it like that because, first of all, I'll just say it, I've made fun of it. I think Destiny doing, like, collabs with, like, other IPs is super fucking stupid. And I get why they do it, though, because, well, Fortnite kind of popped off in doing that, so they're like, well, why wouldn't we pop off in doing that? Like, how would this not bring us money? And it does, but it definitely, like, as somebody who's been playing that game series for, or that game for a fucking long-ass while, it doesn't make me look at it and I go, why is this a thing in this game? Like, this is not a game that needs fucking collabs. Like, there's one game that I think does do well with it, and it's Fortnite. And that's because it's like kind of the universe that Fortnite set in, where it's like this simulation type like stuff, and I think it's cool. And trust me, there's certain ones that I'm like, well, I'm gonna buy that because I just think it's kind of cool looking. And that's kind of where I'm at with it. Like, there's certain games that need it, there's certain ones that don't, and I feel like Fortnite definitely did set a thing in mind of like, this is how games need to be. And Fortnite is the only one that I've seen do it right, because it fits the style of game that Fortnite is compared to other games like Destiny, Call of Duty, and shit like that. And that's just my personal take on it. So I do want to hear everybody's opinions. Leave them down below. Talk about it. You can yell at me, call me stupid. You can be like, oh, you're just fucking old and you don't want to deal with this anymore. Yeah, I guess so, man. I probably. But I do want to know people's opinions on it. I want to know the takes on it. I want to know how people are feeling about it. And for the Halo players, what do you think is going to happen to Infinite after its life cycle is done? Because it does seem like we may be coming up on the end of Infinite's life cycle as this year goes by and we lead into next year, which is as unfortunate as it sounds because I personally do love this game a lot. But other than that, though, guys, I'm gonna hop out of here. Come watch stream today. I'll probably be streaming right after the video goes up, so I will catch you all then. And yeah, later, dudes.